Vladimir Zelenskyy used our long-range missiles to attack Russia yesterday. Something that Vladimir Putin said would be a red line. On Monday, what happened? On Monday, we said, when I say we, whoever is president of the United States, let's just use air quotes and say Joe Biden, told Ukraine that they could use those long-range missiles. Again, Vladimir Putin said red line. In fact, they had something that they had proposed in September, but they stamped it and signed it on Tuesday in response to our announcement on Monday. The doctrine now says an attack from a non-nuclear state, if backed by a nuclear power, that would be us, will be treated as a joint assault on Russia. That's great. So what is Putin going to do? We don't have any idea, but I don't have any idea why we would have done this in the first place. Cory Mills joins us, the congressman from Florida. Hello, Cory. How are you?
Glenn, how are you?
So how disturbed are you by what's happening?
Well, extremely concerned. I mean, look, for 4 years, Ukraine had been asking for long-range capabilities, have been asking to be able to hit within the outlying areas inside of Russia in an effort to try and prevent continual assaults. And it was denied. And here we go as we're getting into the President Trump's administration as presidency. He's continuing to try and spiral things further out of control and escalate them to another degree. The benefit we have, however, is that we have an exceptionally strong president coming in. And every one of the world leaders knows that President Trump does not suffer fools and that he does not have the weakness which invites aggression.
Correct.
So I think that even with all this taking place, I think that both Putin and Zelenskyy understand that President Trump coming in is not going to necessarily say, it's okay for you guys to continue this back and forth. It's okay to continue the atrocious events that are occurring. He's going to come with an actual solution and say, what kind of sanctioning, what kind of imposement? Because remember, it was President Trump who actually removed America from the INF Treaty, which had been violated by Russia time and time again. It was President Trump who removed us from JCPOA. It was President Trump who enforced one of our adversaries, China, to actually buy billions of dollars in agricultural goods or face tariffs. And it was President Trump who secured our borders will remain in Mexico and secured it by trying to build the wall. So people know this, they're taking notice, but it's disturbing to me that President Biden is doing everything he can to leave President Trump with the biggest mess possible to stop him from actually getting onto the America First agenda.
It also strikes me as the deep state going into survival mode.
Well, it's the deep state going into survival mode, the admin nanny state who continues to want to keep the corruption, the power. Just like you, Glenn, both of us, we're 10th Amendment absolutists. I believe in completely eliminating a large amount of departments and agencies throughout D.C. and returning those powers back to the individual states.
Yep.
I believe that, again, we can harp on Woodrow Wilson's 17th Amendment in 1913, but the power resides with the people. The power resides with the independent states. And this is what the federal government and this is what all these bureaucrats, these unelected bureaucrats who think they're lawmakers want to hold on to. And so they will create as much chaos as possible, whether it be through a pandemic, whether it be through global warfare, whether it be through regional destabilization, in an effort to try and maintain their power so that it doesn't move away.
So the president cannot, or the president-elect cannot call Putin or Zelenskyy and say, knock it off, I'm 61 days or 62 days away from being the president, and you don't want to screw with me, knock it off right now. He can't make that call, can he? Legally.
He can, actually, to some extent. I mean, look, we have a good friend of mine, Congressman Mike Waltz, who was just appointed as National Security Advisor. I talked to him yesterday, and there's a tremendous amount of world leaders who are calling to congratulate the president. And, the president could simply say, listen, as you know, I'm coming in 61 days. I would ask that we go ahead and de-escalate things now before we come in and start thinking of a solution to work together. So we've already seen where Hamas, the minute that President Trump was elected,
I know.
started to ask for a ceasefire. I mean, you saw where Russia was starting to stop its continuation, and now obviously Biden's continuing to ramp that back up so he can also do more to feed the defense military industrial complex, which are going to be his future donors and future paychecks. But yeah, President Trump absolutely is already in talk with world leaders, and his national security advisor, Tulsi, is the director of national intelligence, and everyone is very much in the know on this. What was shocking, however, Glenn, and this should be shocking for viewers as well, during the transition, you're supposed to be transparent with the incoming administration.
Yes.
And Michael Waltz, the national security advisor, wasn't even briefed that the actual long-range missiles had been approved by Biden and Jake Sullivan.
This is madness. I've never seen anything like this before, ever.
No.
I mean, you just don't.
It's unprecedented. I mean, look at FEMA. Look at all the weaponization. Look at what they've done to our economy. Look what they've done to our open borders. Look at the 300,000 plus children who've gone missing, who are being trafficked into the country. Look at, how FEMA has been weaponized to not help those if you have a Trump sign as good practice. And I'm using the rabbit ears on this. I mean, look at what's happened with China's aggression ramping up in the Taiwan Seas. Look at Indo-PACOM's threats. Look at Russia and China. Look at Iran's continual aggressions in the October 7th incident on Israel. Look at the Kataib Hezbollah in Iraq and how they're starting to ramp up. Look, the list goes on with how the world is being set on fire because of this administration.
So what do you expect Putin to do? 2 days ago, they said that it could be a nuclear strike. I don't think they're going to do that, but could be a nuclear strike, and it would be war between us and that NATO ally that is supplying all of these things. That's us. How does he continue to back down on his red lines without losing his position and credibility in his own country?
Well, I think that it is a bit of saber rattling. And I think that he knows that things will change in the next 61 days. I think that right now he's trying to just get Biden and everyone to be on notice to say this is enough. You're not going to continue to do this and actually approve threats onto our nation. But we missed the boat a long time ago. If you back up to 1994 when we signed the original Budapest Memorandum, it was us, the Federation of Russia, Ukraine, and UK Northern Ireland. That was recognizing Ukraine's independent sovereignty and their borders as a nuclear nonproliferation agreement. The minute that was violated in 2014, oh, wait, that was under Obama and Biden. The minute that was actually done, they should have levied that treaty, regardless if it has teeth on it or not. You could have brought that to the international communities, but they didn't. And they allowed to continue on until it was actually President Trump who came forward and said, the only way to stop this isn't by giving Band-Aids and giving food. It's by allowing to have defense articles to be supplied to Ukraine for its own defense. And when that was approved, Russia then stood at bay in Donetsk and Lugansk and Mariupol. Now, fast forward to when President Biden comes into office, Russia immediately starts their invasion because they knew that nothing was going to happen because the precedent has been set. And so I think there's saber rattling that's going on by Vladimir Putin. I think that's necessary. I wouldn't be surprised if he does have some type of a mid-range, long-range missile strike, an increase in artillery, things like that on already hard impacted areas. But I think that he understands that in 61 days, there's a new boss in town.